And also tonight, the Obama administration did release its intelligence report on election hacking. And President-elect Donald Trump, he's calling out the charade for what it really is. And that's a political witch hunt. And that's tonight's opening monologue. So the Office of the Director of National Intelligence earlier today released a declassified version of its report on election hacking and, of course, Russia intentions. Now, it concludes that Vladimir Putin ordered an effort to try and damage Hillary Clinton, all in an attempt to influence the election. However, now this is key. The report found no evidence that actual votes were tampered with, and it did not assess if there was an impact on the outcome of the election. Now, President-elect Trump, he was briefed on the classified version of the report earlier today, and afterwards he put out a statement saying that his meeting with intel officials was constructive, and he added, quote, there was absolutely no effect on the outcome of the election, including the fact that there was no tampering whatsoever with the voting machines. Now, the president-elect is also saying tonight that, unlike President Obama, he will actually do something to fix this problem by appointing a team to come up with a plan to fight and to stop future cyber attacks. Now, Vice President-elect Mike Pence, he elaborated on this plan. This is earlier tonight. Let's take a look.
The President-elect has made it very clear that we're going to take aggressive action in the early days of our new administration to combat cyber attacks and protect the security of the American people from this type of intrusion in the future.
Now, also earlier today, before his briefing, President-elect Trump, he called out Democrats for trying to undermine his presidency by telling the New York Times, quote, China, relatively recently, they hacked over 20 million government names. How come nobody ever talks about that? This is a political witch hunt. And Mr. Trump, by the way, is highlighting how for the past 8 years, President Obama has all but ignored cybersecurity threats. Quote, with all that being said, I don't want countries to be hacking our country. They've hacked the White House. They've hacked Congress. We're like the hacking capital of the world. Now, President-elect Trump, he's absolutely right. And as we told you about this last night, the president, the Democrats, they have been asleep at the wheel when it comes to cybersecurity. Now, take a look at the countless major cybersecurity attacks on the federal government that has all happened since 2009 when Obama became president. And there's much more. The Democrats are pumping up this intel report as the smoking gun that proves Russian interference in this election was a big reason why Donald Trump won. But what the left and, of course, the corrupt alt-left liberal media won't tell you about the report and what's in it, it contains evidence about Russia trying to meddle in U.S. elections going all the way back to 2008. And that's not all. NBC News is reporting that the classified version shows that Russian hackers, they targeted the White House, the State Department, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and American companies. So why all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this has been going on the entire Obama presidency, is hacking now such a pressing issue? This once again just proves that the only reason President Obama and the Democrats care now about cybersecurity is because they need an excuse to explain why Hillary Clinton lost. Now, the sore losers, snowflake, left wing, they can whine all they want, but the truth is they can only blame themselves and their gross negligence on cybersecurity for this election hacking. Now, take a look at Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman. You see him there, John Podesta? Now, the reason his emails were accessed was because of a typo in a reply from a campaign IT staffer about a phishing email that Podesta received. He gave them the information. Now, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, he told me earlier this week that security from Podesta's email was so laughably inadequate that a 14-year-old could have hacked into it. And then, of course, there's Hillary Clinton. Remember her private email server that they didn't want to talk about? Remember that was stored in a mom and pop shop bathroom closet? Does that sound secure to you? Of course not. Now, Clinton's setup was so careless that the FBI is 99% sure that up to 5 foreign intelligence agencies accessed it. And then you have the DNC. Remember, Fox News learned that after the political party was hacked, they didn't give the FBI direct access to its servers and its data. So the FBI was forced to rely on a third party to try and figure out what happened. And the New York Times has reported that when the FBI first called DNC staffers to alert them of a possible cyber attack, they thought it was a prank call. They did nothing. And when the FBI kept calling and calling and calling for weeks following, well, the DNC continued to fail to act and address the problem. So do the Democrats, who are now feigning selective moral outrage here. If you would have just done your job and fixed the hacking problem that you knew about back in 2008 and 9, right in front of your face for years, this never would have happened. Here with reaction, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Mr. Mayor, I think this is an important part of your company. You deal with this issue on a daily basis. To me, this is a real, clear, and present danger that we have ignored for over 10 years. Am I wrong about that assessment?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right, Sean. I don't even feel like I told you so. 13 years ago, I began a warning about hacking with my law firm, Greenberg Traurig, and my technology and software partners, BlackBerry. I have been involved for many years in trying to warn corporate officials, individuals, government agencies about the hacking that's been going on. And the reality is you need both a technological software solution like BlackBerry provides and others do. You need legal solutions, and we haven't paid attention to it. And I've been blue in the face giving speeches over this. Must have given at least 300 speeches over how American corporations and the American government is not paying attention to what is now ubiquitous hacking that's going on, not just by Russia, not just by China, not just by North Korea, by our friends, and also for commercial purpose, also for ransom. There have been hospitals that have been hacked and have had to pay money so that the whole hospital wasn't turned down. The amount of hacking that goes on is incredible. It's the fastest growing form of crime. And if we need anything else to wake us up, the danger to our grid is there.
Well, it's interesting you say that.
Both the head of the FBI and the head of Homeland Security would tell you that.
Mr. Mayor, since Obama's been president, and I mentioned the 2008 election, which this report references, that they tried to influence that election, and of course Obama tried to influence the Israeli election, and so that makes him a hypocrite. But putting that aside, let me give you the list. The U.S. electric grid since 2009 has been hacked. Then we have the Pentagon's Joint Strike Fighter project. That's been hacked. NASA's been hacked. The Department of Energy's been hacked. The Federal Election Commission network's hacked. The U.S. Postal Service hacked. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has been hacked. The White House has been hacked. The State Department has been hacked. The Department of Defense has been hacked. The IRS has been hacked. And in 2014, the Office of Personnel Management, 22 million people had their personal information hacked, and Obama never said a word, didn't kick out any diplomats, no sanctions, not a peep. What does that tell you?
What that tells us is gross negligence on the part of the government with regard to a clear and present danger that we should have known about going back to 2003, 2004. And the hacking now is enormous. I believe it's the head of the FBI that said that American corporations are in two categories: those that have been hacked and know about it, and those that have been hacked and don't know about it yet. Some of these hackings, by the way, went on for a year or 2 or 3 years before they were caught, because the companies involved and the government agencies involved didn't bring in the experts, the software experts, the analytical experts.
Well, let me ask this.
At a fast enough pace.
So the reason they didn't care about all the hacking all the years prior is because, well, these emails or the DNC and John Podesta showed racism, sexism, homophobia, anti-Semitism. And then we have, of course, the media colluding with the Clinton campaign. Then we have Clinton corruption that was exposed and all the money they made. And then we found out, you know, that they totally rigged the DNC process in favor of Hillary over Bernie. So that seems to be what has garnered their attention here.
Well, that's really the point of this report, Sean.
It's political.
The point is this. Yes, that report shows the election was not hacked. No vote was changed. If, in fact, what the Russians, if they did it, or whoever did it, if the Russians or anyone else had hacked information that was perfectly neutral and did not show some terrible acts, said some terrible things, suggested some terrible actions taken by people, there'd be no problem here. It's their actions that caused whatever problem was caused, and as far as we can tell, really didn't have much of an impact on the vote.
Yeah,
but
well, not
in
at
any
all.
event,
They even say that in the report.
They got caught saying what they were actually saying.
You know, it's interesting because
So
there's a high level of confidence in certain intelligence agencies and only a moderate at the NSA, so their disagreement among themselves. I have to break, Mr. Mayor. What you're warning here is so important. And if we don't learn from these
I've been trying for 13 years. Let's do something about hacking, and American corporations play a big role in this. They don't do enough about it.
Well said. Mr. Mayor, you've been making this cry for years. I've talked about it many times. Thank you for warning us once again. We appreciate it. Now,
Thank you.
we have to assume that Iran and North